Gym. I've been away for a week. I can't wait to get back into it in the daily workout. And this week is our industry insights and future predictions with members of the industry bodies. And today I've got Neil Carberry from the REC. Good morning, Neil. How are you?
Good morning, Angela. Yeah, I'm very jealous of you having that time somewhere nice and warm because it has been party here while you were away.
I know we managed to time that just right because it was in the minuses, wasn't it? And Kate O'Neill and myself have been running a conference in India where it's been 30 degrees and it's been fabulous. And we kept to UK times and then US times. So Thursday, Friday, we didn't start till 5 in the afternoon, running through till 1 in the morning. So we had the day by the pool.
Yeah,
Better.
for the benefit of the delegates.
Definitely. No, that's the hours they work. We're like, yep, we're happy to go with that. So no jet lag at the moment because we sort of kept with the right time frame. So
Good
fingers
stuff.
crossed it won't hit me this week. Right, let's get back to you. You've been with us every year on the daily workout, giving your predictions. So what we do, we'll have a look back at how well you did. You can grade yourself for this year, and then we'll get your insights into 2024 and where we're going there. So the first up then that you had last year was pay rates rising and inflation's going to continue. So you were spot on there, weren't you?
I'm giving myself an A on that one. Yeah, one of the things we'd said at the end of 2021, I'd said, look, I'm really worried about inflation. It could get as high as 6%. And then last year at the end of 22 went, yeah, we're right about inflation, but maybe twice as high as we'd expected. I'll come back to that later on, another thing that maybe we underestimated in 2022. Inflation is definitely starting to flow out the system now. I think it flows out pretty fully by the middle of the year, which is good news. Pay rates will come down as well when the settlements data settles. So the story in 24 is finally that starting to fall off, at least in the short term. But I'm saying that was spot on. I'm too I'm too self-analytical to give myself an A, so I'm going to go for an A minus.
No, you're pretty spot on. I'd give an A on that one. Right, second one, business leaders needing to focus on looking after key staff. So what's been going on with that?
So this one's interesting because I think we thought there was going to be more of a trend on focusing resources on key staff in a slower growth year than we expected. I think actually the scale of inflation has meant that firms have had to do things more generally. So I'm going, that's more of a C plus. I think that trend will emerge, but it's just taking longer to move through.
Yeah, we've not had as much movement this year, have we? And not surprising because of the unrest everywhere in every walk of life. That people have sort of stuck a little bit with security this year compared to the changes so much 21, 22. Okay, third one, shallow recession, long, not very big, rather than short and being very big. Businesses out there for recruiters to win if they've got the right offer. Well, yeah, there has been business this year, and a lot of the stats have shown that it's the same as 2019's levels.
Yeah, actually, we published our recruitment industry status report yesterday, and if you look at the story there, we're thinking there's about 3% growth in fees this year, about 3.4% growth in GVA. Now, in nominal terms, that's growth. In real terms, of course, it's less than inflation, so it's a weakish year. So has there been a shallow recession in the economy? No, we've had a couple of poor quarters, but they haven't linked up. Has there been, in real terms, a shallow recession in the industry this year? Yeah, there has, actually. The word that I stuck next to shallow. So last year we talked about 2023 borrowing the bank's language, that people were feeling reliably gloomy. I think the words we used when we were chatting were shallow and turgid. It does feel shallow and turgid this year in the industry. I think because we haven't had a recession, you can't have an A. So I'll have a B on this one. The story here is that there has been business to do, but picking the right business with the right clients is difficult. Clearly, perms had a much tougher year than temp, as firms as clients sort of look at the way the world is. Temp, the challenge has actually been on the thing that we didn't kind of pick up quite as much, which is last year we were talking about where interest rates peak, and we were talking in the 3 to 4% range. And of course, we know actually it's quite a bit higher than that. And that is really challenging for temp businesses because, of course, you are a short-term bank effectively for
Yeah.
your clients, and lending them money at 2% is very different to lending them at 10%. So on the cost side of temp, we've seen a lot of pressure. So top line of temp's gone up a bit, driven by wages rather than temp numbers, but the cost side squeeze margins. So yeah, the phrase of the year from our members is, it's not a bad market, it's just really, really hard. And
Yeah.
that feels about right to me.
I was going to say, and that's the sort of normal recruitment market, isn't it? It's not usually easy. It's why we do get paid well for what we do, and certainly a lot of companies have realised that over the last few years. Actually, there's a lot more to this recruitment than we thought,
Yeah.
and a bit like everyone that had children during lockdown realised, teachers, how do they do it?
Yeah, absolutely, and especially with 30 of them, and not just the 2 that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Look, there's something in that, but actually, that's a good thing for the industry as well, because I think there was a little bit immediately post-pandemic, but also with the arrival of ChatGPT. Because I think when we spoke last year, ChatGPT had been out for like 2-3 weeks. The oh, we can just do it ourselves. If we can systematize the process, and I think there is this growing understanding that there's the process, the technical process to deliver, and you have to get that right as an agency. And yes, clients, if they invest well, can do that internally. But there's also a huge amount of human effort. That human effort is best done by specialists, and I think the firms who are moving in that direction, I've seen a big move this year amongst the bigger players into that. That feels like it's got legs for the long-term sustainability of what we do. And as you say, it's the Greg Savage thing about it's not rocket science. Let's be clear, right? It isn't rocket science. It's more difficult than rocket science. I mean, that's the thing, because you're dealing with a product that can say no.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to jump to 5 then and come back to 4, because your 5th prediction was around tech and AI. And you're right, we just had the year anniversary of ChatGPT. How that's moved on in that period of time is phenomenal. So you're saying tech and AI is going to be more in demand in 2023, but it will be the tech that makes the client and the candidate journey smoother, not just the tech that makes recruiters more productive and efficient. So you can give yourself a good grade on that one.
I don't think we've gone as far as I expected to. Obviously, everyone should check out the REC's Tech-Enabled Humanity report from this summer, which is our big first contribution to how recruiters should be thinking about tech in their business going forward. We are hosting on the 12th of January the REC's first ever hackathon, where we are thinking about how could you deliver for the UK labour market a single point of worker identity and skill accreditation. No big promises yet, but I think there's some legs in that. So that kind of thing is starting to the wheels to turn. I think there is a job to do with the industry suppliers to get a focus onto this. So I'm going B for that, because I think we could make more progress, and I'm going to push. I'm going to be pushing suppliers, but actually we should also be thinking about what we can do together as an industry.
Definitely. Can we just get those 2 things, and Charlotte will get those?
Charlotte's on it already.
Oh, is she? All right, wonderful. I've lost the chat for some reason. I'm clicking on it, but there's nothing there. It's come back. Brilliant. Okay, and what was the 12th of January? Say that title.
12th of January, we're doing a hackathon with our large members and a partner who's looking at digital wallet, and we're just trying to work out whether we could do it in the UK, and if we could do it, what's the REC's role, and how would we make it work. But just imagine a world, and you've got to dream big dreams, right? Imagine a world where we had a worker wallet in the UK that did your DBS, that did your right to work, that did your qualifications, all secured through the blockchain. And when I give it to you, I voluntarily give it to you, Angela. Yeah. Therefore, GDPR just falls away.
Yeah.
I mean, but it requires us as recruiters to make a big mind shift. And the mind shift is data doesn't belong to us. it belongs to the candidate.
Yeah.
And if you grew up when I did in the industry in the 90s, the idea that the data that you have isn't your USP is fundamentally a little bit unsettling.
It does feel a bit Big Brother on that, doesn't it?
Mm.
Get from there. But yeah, what a great idea that you have that wallet and everything's in there and it's all cleared and it all updates and yeah, God, that
No
would make
promises, but we're working on it.
okay. We'll look forward to seeing what happens with that come the end of next year. So your last one was around big phase in client restructuring, changing their businesses, grasping for more resources due to the shortage in candidates and demand for labour and other specific skills still going to be very high.
So I think we're seeing a lot of this, and I'm going to say B again because I think it's not played through as much as I think it would. I thought it was going to. I think the impact of high interest rates, and let's be clear, what I mean by that is the impact of interest rates normalizing after 15 very odd years where money was essentially free.
Yeah.
Is going to wash through the system. There are a lot of businesses who have been sustained by low interest rates for a long time. So I think we will see a lot of restructuring. I think we've seen it in some sectors, and a lot of pain for recruiters who are exposed to construction this year. The collapse of Buckingham Group hurt a lot of businesses in the sector.
Yeah.
I think you start to see a bit of that flowing through. So I think sensible recruitment industry leaders now are thinking about what's my client risk assessment and what's my payment terms and how, really important to push back against payment term extension. If people are pushing your payment terms, ask them why they need to do it.
Yeah.
So there's a big thing there. We need to do some work on that in the new year at the REC. I think that will flow through some other sectors. But let's be clear, this morning's ONS stats had has had the longest fall in vacancies month on month that we have ever seen in the official statistics. But vacancies are still 150,000 above their pre-pandemic level. So
how big was the fall? I haven't seen them yet this morning.
It's come down about 50,000 in the last quarter, but still 150,000 ahead of pre-pandemic.
Yeah,
so activity is still, despite low and slow and shallow and turgid in the year, activity in the labour market is still relatively high. And I think this is I think last year I was obviously feeling quite ballsy because last year I think I did the clients have got to realise it's not 2015 anymore, kids.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that we still have this level of demand after the year that we've had and clear shortages in hospitality, logistics, engineering, healthcare, social care is a sign that across the cycle, the British labour market is just tighter than it's ever been. At this stage of the economic cycle, unemployment should have risen more traditionally. Employment would have fallen more traditionally. That's not happening, and it's not happening primarily because labour supply is so tight. It's why we need, you'll hear a lot from us in 2024 in the run-up to general election about how you need a people and productivity focused industrial strategy that addresses productivity. It addresses routes for people from inactivity and unemployment into work, routes from schools into work. We published a brilliant report with EDSK last Friday called Broken Ladders, which is all about new routes from school into work, which I worked on with EDSK and James Reed, who funded it. But also a sensible immigration policy. So I shot my mouth off so badly last Monday afternoon that I ended up on the front page of the FT having a go at the British government about immigration. Loved it. But part of the challenge in this country going into 2024 is, the only thing that will save us is economic growth. Economic growth is the third leg of the triangle that gets the tax burden down and gets public sector service spending up.
And we're still GDP at zero, yeah?
Yeah, but the economy is what matters. And so government needs to be thinking about how do you drive the economy? Those things I mentioned a minute ago, they drive the economy. Immigration drives the economy. Skills reform drives the economy. Productivity reform drives the economy. You need an industrial strategy. Right, okay, what are we talking about in the news today? Whether or not we should ship 200 people to Rwanda. One of the biggest single challenge in my world on behalf of recruiters next year is to get the political parties focused on economic growth and setting businesses free to drive it. And I wouldn't normally put that top of my list, but obviously there's going to be a general election.
Yeah, talking about the general election, because the dates are moving quite a bit, and I know you have an in here. What's your view on when it's actually going to be?
There's basically, it's right. So I'll give you a sort of a politician's answer, and then I'll give you
Thanks.
Carberry's best prediction, right?
Yeah.
So there's three strategies. October, November seems to be the favourite, which is you don't want to go solo. We don't want to be having this conversation next year in the midst of a general election campaign that will ruin everyone's Christmas. Nobody wants it. So October, November, that's going late. April, May, that's going early. The challenge for the
It always was May, wasn't it? Like the second Thursday in May.
Traditionally, it's always been sensible to align it with the local elections, and that's just a government cost saving thing. Just do both elections on the same day.
Yeah.
I favour the late option because I think I am more of an optimist than the crowd on the economy in 2024. Right? I'm a recruiter. First in, first out. I see us coming up. I think Q1's still difficult. Q2, Q3, I think are a lot more positive.
Yeah.
Our jobs outlook, which is our client survey, says clients are getting more optimistic about investment. I think Britain, by the way, looks good next to the crowd internationally all of a sudden in a way that we haven't for 5-6 years. So what does France look like post Macron? Germany's not in a great way. The US has kind of all sorts going on next November. Actually, the UK, more kind of stability in the Labour Party. Rishi Sunak's not Liz Truss. Seems to be, if you're running from a tiger, you don't need to be first. You just need to not be last. And there's a little bit of that about Britain looking a bit better, undervalued share price. So all that comes through. I think you want that advantage as Rishi Sunak, so you go late. On which basis? October the 17th. That's the Carberry bet.
Let's see where that goes.
It's like Douglas Adams' Beastромatics, right? Now the only Thursday that definitely won't be the general election next year is October the 17th. But I've said it, and I can give myself a D grade next year when I get it wrong.
We will see. So what else is going to happen next year?
I think we see a little bit of growth in the market, but I think broadly that's nominal growth. Inflation will probably wipe it out. So I think you're still in that position of looking for the offer that attracts clients in. It's that deep partnership, all that stuff we talked about last year, which I think will pick up that more advisory space. We just published some work on EDI, big 70-page guidebook for REC members on EDI in your business, because let's be clear, when you get a group of senior recruiters together, they are too white. And then once you've solved it in your business, solving it for your clients. So lots of that stuff is coming onto clients' wish lists, carbon footprinting, stuff like that, where we as an industry will have to start to move to clients' much more nuanced demands. I think for the REC, what do we do? Three things: voice, so advocacy for the industry, advice, and professionalism and standards. Continuing big move back to in-person. There was a week in September where we saw 1,000 recruitment businesses, which felt like
Greg Savage.
Plus. We had a couple of other events as well. So
fantastic.
So REC Live, June the 25th, in person in London, big day. Already got an S&P 500 chief executive speaking to talk about the client side. Got some fantastic things planned there. We've got some new business advice, how to buy it guide for recruiters to use with their clients coming in January. But also lots more local activity. We've seen a big uptick in people's interest in coming to see us near where they are. So 50% more regional and national events next year. So in-person business, very loud with government and with clients, and then very focused on standards, where we are thinking about what more we can do to make sure the badge means something.
Wonderful. Well, that all sounds very positive, to be honest. Is there anything negative in there?
Well, look, it's hard. The market's hard, but it's not. I'm a great believer in the animal spirits of the economy. Right, people can only be miserable for so far. The point about Christmas is at every stage someone says, "Oh, hang it, get the sherry out," and the entire British nation does at the same time, and consumer spending goes like that. And I think the same is true about the macro economy. There's a bit where where the British economy generally will pick up because the cycle just means it will pick up. And I
We've been
think,
here before, haven't we?
yeah, and I think we need to be ready for that as businesses.
Definitely. Definitely. Thank you so much for your insights. It's always fascinating listening to you, and certainly being able to look back as well.
Always a
And
pleasure.
you pretty much got most things right this year. So I look forward to October the 17th. We will
Yeah,
see.
look. If it is October the 17th, I'll
That'd
come
be
on message
amazing.
like that. You know,
We'll be shouting about it, I'll tell you.
I'll be handing out the lottery numbers.
As soon as we hear. Wonderful. Thank you, Neil. We'll see
Thanks,
you
Anton.
again soon. We'll get those dates and extra bits in the links as well. Tomorrow we've got Emma Merrington from the firm, so the Forum of In-House Recruiters. So we'll look at it from their side as well. Thanks, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.